5 years ago, my DM, Dave, introduced the character at our table, a black powder merchant named Victor. I fell in love instantly. I asked him how he came up with such a great character, and he pointed me to a video of Matt Mercer playing as Victor. Needless to say, I was hooked. Here I am 5 years later. Thousands of hours of Critical Role under my belt. Products, merch, got it all, obviously. Big fans. Big fan of Critical Role. So this last couple of weeks have been exciting because we've been getting all the new updates and news regarding the future of Critical Role. That's what today's video is all about. Let's talk about Critical Role. Before we dive in, quick bit of a spoiler warning here. There may be spoilers. I'm working without a script, which means, as you know, anything can come out of this mouth. So if you're not caught up through Campaign 3 and Age of Umbra, you might want to bounce and come back later. Please come back later. Watch those shows. Come on back. With that said, let's talk about the non-Critical Role stuff first. The non-Campaign 4 stuff. Age of Umbra 2 is coming out. Matt Mercer will be doing another Daggerheart mini campaign in his Age of Umbra campaign theme that he created for the Daggerheart system. Age of Umbra, the first one, was amazing. It was dark, lots of death, great role play, just great characters. If you haven't watched it yet, go check it out. Well worth your time. So I'm looking forward to a number 2, especially if they carry on the same characters that lived or just in the same setting at a different time. It'll be great to see that. Animated series, Legend of Vox Machina. Their 5th and final season got greenlit, which means we still got season 4 and 5 to come. 4, I think, is in this year, November, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please. So that will wrap up Vox Machina, which is campaign 1 for Critical Role. That will wrap up the animated series. Legend of the Mighty Nine. They showed some stuff at Gen Con. We saw some of that sneak peeks ahead of time, but that'll come out probably next year, I believe. Really looking forward to both of those. They're going to have to make some changes, especially the Mighty Nine, because it got kind of chaotic. But what I've seen so far for Mighty Nine changes, okay, cool. Work sounds good. Legend of Vox Machina, I love the changes they've done so far. Understand the reasons why. It's hard to condense 1,000+ hours or whatever it is, I haven't done the math, down into 30-minute episodes and 12 or 13 of them. So some stuff's going to get left out. You want to condense some things, but it looks really good. I'm not big into anime, but Vox Machina it's a great animated show. Love it. Of course, everybody's great. All the voice actors are great. The guest stars they got, amazing. Especially, let's be honest, Lance Hedrick played Thordak. Perfect. Chef's kiss voice. Love Matt, but him for Thordak, amazing. Looking forward to seeing how that ends, how they tie up the Vecna arc. Daggerheart, as I mentioned, Age of Umbra. Also, Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins will be creating a campaign adventure setting for Daggerheart. Takes you a full 1 to 10 levels. So that's going to be great. I can't wait to see what they do with that. Looking forward to that. Well, now let's jump into Campaign 4. Because, let's be honest, lots of changes ahead. Before we dive into the discussion that is Critical Role Campaign 4, let's hear from today's sponsor. This video is brought to you by Only Crits. Do you love sharp-edged dice? What about dice with things inside of them like ducks? What about metal dice, both solid and hollow? How about mystery bags of dice? I know I can't resist those mystery bags of dice at my friendly local game store. I just always have to buy one when I pop in. What about dice trays and dice cases? Well, Only Crits has you dice goblins and dice dragons taken care of. They have everything you can ever want when it comes to dice, and each one of us can always use more dice in our lives. So, click the link in the description to go to Only Crits to let them know the Laughing Tavern sent you, and enter the code MESOCRITS at checkout for 10% off your order. Thanks to Only Crits for sponsoring this video. Thank you, Advertising Rich. Gotta get you some money. Sorry about that, dude. Alright, let's just get the elephant out of the room out of the way here. Critical Role Campaign 4 will not be in Daggerheart as everybody predicted, except me. I knew they weren't going to switch. But there's no video of it, so my genius is not proven. But yeah, they are sticking with D&D, and it makes absolute total sense to me. One, we don't know what kind of licenses and agreements Critical Role has with Wizards of the Coast. So maybe they can't break it. Maybe they can't break some things because they've done campaign books and adventure guides and all that. So maybe there was some of that behind the scenes. And two, you dance with the girl you brought to the dance, right? D&D got Critical Role to where they are. Why would they switch? Yes, I know, they've spent time and effort in Daggerheart, but we'll get into that in a second. Stick with D&D. The biggest fan base of the TTRPG system is still Dungeons & Dragons. I don't care what all you haters out there say. Yes, you may love the indie games and all the third-party ones. They're great. They're all great for their own thing. But there's no mistaking, D&D is the god of the TTRPG systems. It's good. Everybody has played it or will play it. That's where you start. So it makes sense to stick with a system that everybody knows, and they brought them there. Daggerheart is wonderful, and I can't wait to see what they do with it in the future. Like I said, more on that to come. So you had to stick with it. Plus, with this next announcement, it frees up other things that will lead into Daggerheart. What's that announcement? Brennan Lee Mulligan is taking over behind the screen from Matt Mercer. That's right. Matt is going to sit in front of the screen for the first time for a full-time campaign in his life. In last week's fireside chat with Brennan, he talked about he's never played in a full campaign. Mini campaigns, one-shots, but never a full campaign start to finish. So that's going to be great. The few times he has played, it's been wonderful. And his character in Divergence was just, the ending of it. I know I know spoilers, but I don't want to ruin too much, just in case you haven't seen it. So I can't wait to see what he does in front of the screen on a permanent basis. And by doing so, by having Brennan be the DM and Matt as a player, that removes all the world building, all the map making, all that stuff off of Matt's plate, which frees him up to focus on Daggerheart. Focus on Age of Umbra 2. Focus on the one-shots or maybe even the mini campaigns that will be set in Daggerheart in Exandria. They did one at Gen Con, so he can do all that. Critical Role takes the last Thursday off of every month. Now, they pre-record everything, so that means Matt can run Daggerheart games that get shown on the last Thursday of the month instead of Critical Role. And it's not going to kill him balancing Critical Role and Daggerheart. Now he just has to do Daggerheart and be a player for D&D. Much easier for him, means he can focus on Daggerheart. So that's why I believe it's truly separated, is you have Daggerheart being its own thing with Matt as the DM, running stuff in Exandria. And Brennan focusing on D&D on a different world. That's right. Campaign 4 is not on Exandria, folks. I'm sure they'll come back to it, but probably in Daggerheart. But for D&D, it is now in Brennan's world, Ahriman. In Ahriman, the gods and mortals got into a fight, and the mortals won 70 years ago. Campaign 4 will be set during that time period. So I can't wait to see what happens there. In that same fireside chat that Brennan had with Matt last week, he also mentioned that he's been world building and working on the rules with Chris, and Jeremy. So I can't wait to see what they come up with, because Critical Role Campaign 4 will be using the 2024 rule set. Up until now, the first three campaigns used D&D 2014. Now they'll be using D&D 2024. With all of that, that brings with it the weapon masteries, the backgrounds. According to Brennan, again, based on this fireside chat, he's creating new subclasses, new backgrounds. Of course, if you homebrew a world in a campaign, you got to create some things that will work in that setting. So for Campaign 4, there's going to be new cast members added. Not a big deal. Critical Role's added cast members as guests, whatever, throughout the years. However, this time, they're not just guest actors. Critical Role Campaign 4 will be a West Marches style of game. For those that don't know, West Marches is a style of D&D where you have a very large group of players. They don't all come in at the same time. You play a session with whoever's there. So in this case, there's going to be 14 players. That's a big table, you ask. But that's where West Marches come in, is you can have groups of players. And that's what Critical Role is going to do. They're going to have 3 groups: Scholars, Seekers, and Soldiers. So these will be 3 styles of play set within D&D. Soldiers, more combat focused. Scholars, more traditional D&D. Schemers are the more political intrigue, social type of game. So that's why and how Brennan is able to run a game with 14 players in it, by breaking them up and having focus on each. Don't get worried. You actually, being a fan of fantasy, are used to a West Marches style of storytelling. This happens in fantasy books when these 3 chapters are focused on this group or this character. The next 3 are focused on this group or this character. Hell, even bouncing between areas in the same chapter. Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. They all tell the story of different parties at different spots. All at the same time, at different times. They roll back and tell you what this party was doing. They've all done it. So, you've done West Marches, you just haven't realized that's what you were actually experiencing. So, don't get too worried about it. Now, who are these players going to be? You'll have your normal cast. Laura Berry, Travis Willingham, Taliesin Jaffe, Ashley Johnson, Marisha Ray, Sam Riegel, Matthew Mercer. Robbie Damon will be coming back. He, of course, played during Stormy Campaign 3. Luis Carrazzo, who in Calamity as Xerxes has got to be my favorite performance in a campaign by any player in these games. What he did was amazing. Older players have had great moments, and I love some of the characters from Sam and Liam, and they've all done great characters. But Xerxes, Luis Carrazzo's Xerxes in Calamity was just exactly what you want D&D to be. Now, I didn't know this until the Fireside Chat, but he had been playing in Matt's home game before they went public. So I did not know that. That's awesome. Abria Iyengar, who, of course, has been in everything Critical Role's done over the last 5 years. DM, GM, player, including Calamity. Alex Ward, a couple shows before, Candela Obscura, but his character in Divergence as Crocus, again, Alex Ward is an amazing character actor, and what he did for Crocus was what you want a player to do at the table. He beat, and I know Brennan talked about this in the Fireside Chat, and I didn't realize it. He would beat Brennan to story beats to bring out of the other players, just because the type of player he is to pull everybody else in. So I can't wait to see what he does. And lastly, you have Whitney Moore. You may not know Whitney Moore if you're a Critical Role fan, because she was only in the Avowed one-shot and an episode of Mame Drop. That was the Everything is Content, where they were playing games on the Mame machine when they first got their new studio. I had to look her up because honestly, I couldn't remember where I saw her in Critical Role. So you're not the only one. Now, Critical Role in Campaign 3 had a breakout where Abria ran a session for the EXU Unlimited folks, Robbie, and that small cast of characters. Fans didn't like it too much because it was in the middle of a Critical Role campaign. The beauty of Critical Role is the original cast. That chemistry at the table is what people have tuned in for. So when you got rid of all of that and called it Critical Role, not EXU Unlimited, not a separate, throwaway one shot, but Critical Role, but it wasn't 7 people. People were not happy. Now, I love the fan base for Critical Role. They're the most giving, loving fan base out there. However, they are also some of the most critical fan bases I've ever seen. And that includes ones from like Star Wars and Star Trek. So that's saying something. There's a subset of that fan base that almost revolted against Critical Role for calling it Critical Role when it was not Critical Role. It was EXU Unlimited for a couple weeks. Now, I understand why they did it. They had to. You just had a character death in FCG. Sam Riegel himself was going through personal medical issues. So I get it. And if I'm not mistaken, they had said that they were going to do that at some point during the campaign. It just timed out perfectly where they placed it. So that means it wasn't exactly a spur of the moment, hey, we just had a character death, Sam's not going to be here for a while, can we throw something together? It was something that Matt and the team had planned. So that's going to be my only fear with this in terms of the viewers. I personally can't wait to see how it all shakes out, who's at what table. And the beauty of West Marches is the tables will eventually come together and mix and go apart again. So I can't wait to see how that all works. But I know a portion of the fan base is not going to like it. I do know viewers' ratings, so-called, if you have ratings in YouTube, dropped during that episode in the middle where Abria and the other people were there instead of the Critical Role folks. So we got to see how that plays out. Like I said, I'm not worried about it, but I know a good portion of the fan base is. October 2nd, tune in live as episode 1 of Campaign 4 drops. I've never been able to watch it live. I live on the East Coast, and I play D&D or do board games up until about 11:30 at night, so I always miss the beginning. Plus, I much rather watch it video on demand and be able to pause it, so I start watching on Mondays. Here's a question for you guys. Would you like to see me do more Critical Role content? If so, let me know in the comments. I plan on doing stuff about the animated series, about Campaign 4, and about anything else Critical Role will produce here going forward. But let me know if you want to be interested in doing it. Change is scary, I understand, but don't be afraid. You have a very experienced group of people running all of this, behind the screen and in front of the screen. Brandon Lee Mulligan is an amazing DM. He knows how to handle all this. He's done West Marches before. He also has Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins right there to help him if he has questions about rules or world building. Matt Mercer is in front of the screen, so it's not like he's gone. The original cast of 7 is still there. They're just being joined by others. And instead of being guest actors on for a couple of episodes, they're just there the whole time. Don't be afraid. Have faith. If you've enjoyed Critical Role to this point, I know you'll enjoy it going forward. As always, like, subscribe, throw a comment. Did you agree or disagree with anything I said? If you disagreed, throw it down there. I'm all for debate. As always, please love each other. Accept each other. Just be nice to each other at a minimum. Come on, people. We live in a rough world. Let's just treat each other how we want to be treated ourselves. That's all I'm saying.